Hey guys, Tom Photoix here. Got a quick video for you regarding metering modes on the Nikon DSLRs. This one's mainly aimed at beginners, but it sort of works with any Nikon DSLR really. I'm using the D5100 just to show you. I'm going to show you how to change it and explain a little bit why you might want to change it to the different modes. So first of all, when we talk about metering, what we mean is the way that the camera, the DSLR, reads the scene in front of it and sort of gathers all the light and decides how to expose that picture. Different metering modes are used in different scenarios. At the moment, there's no kind of automatic metering in cameras. You've got to tell it what mode to use for the best results. So the easiest way to get to the metering modes on this camera, the D5100, the D3100 and the other budget bodies are very similar. Press the I button on the side of the body and then scroll down until you come to metering. You can just see it says metering up in the top corner there. Click OK and you'll see on this camera we've got three different icons there. And you'll see that also there's a little picture kind of demonstrating what you might use them for. Okay, so the first one is matrix metering, and this is what is set as default in the camera, and this is what you'll use for most of your shooting. If you look at the icon closely, you can see that it's a square split up into kind of four different areas with a circle in the middle, and that actually pretty accurately explains how this system works. The camera splits up the sensor, or the metering sensor, it's got a separate one, into loads of different areas. And it kind of looks at each different area to see what sort of light is falling on it, and it uses all the information from all those different areas to choose the best overall exposure. So this mode is really good for general photography and sort of just to leave in just to point and shoot, because the camera is looking at the whole scene, taking the best guess, trying to get the best exposure from the scene that it can. So that mode is perfect just to leave on that if you just want to point and shoot and not think about it. And the camera actually does a really good job most of the time on delivering the correct exposure. The next one down is center-weighted metering. And you can see again with the icon it's got just a little circle in the middle, but surrounded by two kind of brackets. Now what this mode does is it disregards information around all the other zones and it just focuses on a small point in the center of the frame. You can usually in most cameras actually choose how big that point is. It'll usually be sort of maybe half a centimeter across in the center of the frame. This mode is brilliant for portraits because you will have the face sort of in that area where the camera is looking at, and it will expose the face and kind of disregard the background information, so you'll always get a good exposure on the person's face. Nikon also recommend using this mode when using ND filters with an exposure value greater than 1. So that means any ND filter that means you have to adjust the exposure by more than one stop. The next one down is spot metering. Again, it's pretty self-explanatory. You can see the little dot right in the center there. This differs from center-weighted metering. Spot metering actually only uses one tiny little point right in the very center of the focus point. Now with spot metering you can actually move that point around depending on what focus point you are using. So that spot is in the center of any of the focus points on the camera. This only works when you manually select your focus point. This only works when you select your own focus point. If you've got the camera in auto area AF, then it will always use the center focus point for the spot meter. Spot metering is brilliant when you've got a scene that has great differences in bright and dark areas. Spot metering is brilliant on snowy days. It's brilliant for things where there's black, lots of black and lots of white. It's also good for shooting sort of darker subjects against a darker background. What spot metering will do is it will read the tonal values on that tiny little point and expose for that only. Anything else gets disregarded, and the exposure will be perfect where that point is pointed. So you've got to be really careful when using spot metering, because if your spot meter is not where you want it to be, you will not get the correct exposure for the subject. So you'd use spot metering when you want to ensure that the subject is correctly exposed and you're not worried about the rest of the background or foreground. But again, just be very careful when using it. If that dot is not in the right place, you will not get your subject properly exposed. I recommend just playing around with these different modes in your garden or at home. See how they work and what differences they make. Especially spot metering and matrix metering. There should be quite a big difference in the exposure values that you get for those two. Center weighted, not so much. You should get pretty decent results with that all the time. So just a quick recap: matrix metering, leave that 90% of the time. That does everything really. It's a good all-round mode. Center weighted, when you've got something like a flower or something and you know that the subject is kind of in the center portion of the frame that you want exposed. And spot metering, when you want control over what's exposed correctly, and you can move that point to any of the focus points on the camera. I hope that was helpful, guys. Just a quick run through matrix, spot and center weighted metering on Nikon DSLRs. Have any questions, please leave your comments in the box below. Cheers.